Let's talk about social status. So what is social status and why does everyone want it so badly? So I'll give you a few examples of different situations, different environments, and how people have social status in these environments. So for instance, in a company, let's say it's a large company, the boss has a lot of social status, the intern has very little. In a nightclub, the DJ or the owner of the nightclub has very high social status, whereas the regular person, the regular guest who goes there has very little. It's the same with everything, in sports. Let's say you play beach volleyball and you're really good at it. On the beach volleyball court, you're gonna have high social status in comparison to the other people who play there if they are worse than you. They're gonna look up to you, they're gonna admire you, they're gonna wanna learn from you and talk to you and be near you. I'm sure you've seen that phenomenon with, celebrities all the time, or in a business, obviously, everyone's kissing up to the boss. All these things are symptoms of social status. But there is another aspect that I want to talk about that is a little tricky. It's a very important concept about social status. So social status is situational. You don't just have general high social status unless you are Brad Pitt, unless you are Jennifer Aniston, unless you are Rihanna. Unless you're someone who is globally known by practically anyone, you won't have social status in any situation. So social status is very situational. You might have social status as the DJ as long as you're in the club playing there. But what happens when you go to the grocery store the next day? You won't have any social status there. The cashier at the grocery store has higher social status than the DJ who played for 1,000 people the night before, right? And who all danced and cheered and celebrated and so on. That is a key concept. So don't think just because you have status in one area that you are this huge, awesome dude and person and you deserve to be treated like a celebrity anywhere. It doesn't work that way. Make sure you focus on areas that you enjoy, where you think, well, I want to have social status there in the long run. It doesn't bring you anything if you frequent places and get really get to know all the people there if you hate the people and if you hate the place, right? So in my case, where I had social status and where I still might have it is obviously in my job, everything surrounding self-improvement, dating, giving advice, blogging, writing content, marketing, online marketing, these things. I have social status there. Back in the day, I used to be an Austrian champion in volleyball, and then later I also played a lot of beach volleyball. So that was another strong area for me, right? Now, still to this day, whenever I go to a beach volleyball court, I don't play that well anymore. There are much better players than I am. But when I go there, compared to the average person who plays there, I'm still pretty good. And so my status is also pretty high in those situations. Figure out where you have social status. Figure out the best way for you to get it. I introduced the 3 different ways, and it's not that hard, to be honest. It just takes some time and effort, but it feels so good when you are in a situation where you have social status, where the people recognize you and where someone is immediately gonna talk to you and make you feel warm and welcome, right? So social status isn't all about ego and, I wanna be the shit. It's about just wanting to feel great, right? And it's about wanting to feel appreciated and recognized and validated. We all want that. So why is social status so intriguing to others? Why is it so attractive to women? Why is it, so intriguing to all the other people, to everyone who sees you, to everyone who has social status? Well, for one, we always, as humans, we're always drawn to things that we don't have ourselves. If you can do something, or if you have something that very few people can do or own, then you're gonna be very interesting. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have, just because a friend of mine had that, a ton of bird spiders in your apartment, right? That is something that's very out of the ordinary, and people are gonna be super curious about it. They're gonna ask you about it. They're gonna wanna see them. So everything that's out of the extraordinary is always very enticing to people. And one thing that's out of the ordinary is if, again, the example with the bar, if you go to a bar and they treat you differently there, they treat you special. Treating someone special already entails that they aren't treated as the regular guest. right? They are treated differently, out of the ordinary, extraordinarily good. They're gonna be treated in a special way because they are special people. And people think like, oh, something must be special about that person. I better get to know them. I better learn more about them. It triggers their curiosity. And whenever we are curious about someone, that someone becomes super interesting to us. That is why social status is awesome to have. So how can you get social status? Well, social status is closely linked to, achievements, to skill, to fame and fortune, to all these things that are kind of, hard to build. So don't get discouraged in case you don't have high social status in virtually anything and it's too hard for you to build, because there is another way to get social status. And you can also get social status by hanging out with people who already have it. So let's say you go to a nightclub and the DJ who plays there that night invited you. He puts you on the VIP list. So you can just skip the line, and while everyone's waiting, they already see you pass them. You walk right in, you maybe shake hands or fist pump with the bouncer or whatever. Like you go in, the DJ lets you stand next to him on the stage, and like all these women come up there and dance close to you and dance with you. Like you can see in a situation like that, even though you aren't the DJ, your status was elevated because you spent time with them. That's the reason why people want to be close to others who have social status, because it rubs off and it elevates their own status. Does that mean that you should try to, become friends with everyone who has social status? Hell no. What you should do is you should think about, well, what am I great at? What are my strengths? Where do I feel comfortable? All these things are indicators of where your social status is gonna be strongest. So this could be something that's really weird, right? Like, could be that you're the president of the model train club, or could be that, you're really good at making ice cream and you have your little hut there or stand there by the beach and you have the best ice cream around, anywhere. So you can do stuff in those areas where you already have that social status. So maybe you can throw a little ice cream party at the beach or whatever. It doesn't have to be that hard. Another way is, if you are the person who initiates something, who organizes something. Let's say you throw a party. That's a very easy example and everyone can relate to this. And everyone can do it as well. So when you throw a party, there is something special, and the person has more social status who throws the party. You might throw the party in your home. Then you already feel comfortable there. You know everything there. People are gonna come up to you and ask, Julian, where is this? Julian, where's the bathroom? All that stuff, right? They come to you as this knowing person, as this person who has a clue, as this person who was decisive and confident enough to throw the thing, to put themselves out there, to do something. All these positive things are gonna be closely associated with you. And as a result, if you wanna meet, let's say, women at that party that you throw, you're gonna have a much easier time. You're gonna appear much more attractive to them. So whenever you can, try to meet people, whether it's romantic relationships, whether it's, friends, whether it's business contacts. Meet them in environments where your social status is high compared to theirs. That doesn't mean that they should feel shitty or anything, but next time you bring someone to a restaurant for business dinner, maybe go to a restaurant where you know the waiters, where you know the owner or whatever, where you can go in and they already have your drink. You want the usual? That's such a nice question. We see it in almost every Bond movie or in so many movies where the guy walks into a place and they are immediately, they know him, they greet him, they immediately serve him his favorite drink or ask him if he wants the usual. That stuff shows social status. And you can do the exact same thing. I remember when I went to Florida, almost 10 years ago now. Time flies. Well, anyways, when I went there, I knew no one except the person I worked for, and he didn't have time in the evening often. So I was on my own, and there was a bar relatively close by my place. And so I would frequent that bar in the evening. And by doing that, after a few days and then after, let's say, a few weeks, they knew me there really well. And that place, it was fantastic. It felt fantastic to me, when I walked in there and everyone was like, hey, Julian's here again. It was awesome, it felt great. I loved it. And it was really successful in terms of meeting women, just because they saw that I felt comfortable there. I knew everyone there. Everyone who knew me there obviously had a positive impression of me. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so excited that I was back again, right? There's one other concept that is a little advanced, but that I want to talk about briefly. And that is hinting at social status. Some people might not have social status in a situation, but they can hint that they have social status in another situation. Let's take the example of clothing. Some people just dress in a way that makes them stand out. Like if you see Elton John walk down the street, you aren't gonna think like this is your average Joe. No, you're gonna think like, oh, there must be something special about that person for them to be able to dress that way. That hints at social status, and it's also very interesting. It makes people curious. Again, curiosity is key for social status. And so I don't recommend that you dress like Elton John and hit the streets, right? But there are lots of ways that you can hint at something. Let's say, okay, someone comes to your place and they see some kind of trophy standing on a shelf. Well, they might ask, what's that from? Like, what did you win? Where did you win that from? Well, and then it might happen that you won first place at a local drawing competition, okay? So they're gonna think like, oh, that person must be awesome at drawing. Again, curiosity. Show me more. I want to learn more. Can you teach me? Where did you learn how to draw? What is it like to be able to just do all these things, and just paint picture from your mind? It's a very small divide between bragging and hinting at social status. So I would suggest that you play it a little bit safe there and don't overdo it with, the bragginess. But there's also something, if you have things in your life that you're proud about. Like, I love disc golf, for example, okay? I play disc golf all the time. It's such a fantastic sport and I enjoy it. And I want to share that passion with all the people that I meet. Obviously, I don't just start conversations about disc golf with random strangers. But, whenever someone comes to my place, for example, I always have discs laying around somewhere where they are visible, where people can see them. And usually they ask, why do you have frisbees laying around your apartment? Well, those aren't frisbees, those are disc golf discs, blah, blah, blah. You can do that, okay? You can do the same thing. Let's say you brew a craft beer, okay? And it won some kind of award regionally or locally. You can bring a case of that. It's some weird shit, okay? I'm just making stuff up now. Let's say it's a turmeric-infused lager. You won first place with that thing regionally, and now you're meeting a bunch of people or you're going to a party. It's customary to bring something along when you go to a party, right? So instead of buying a bottle of vodka or rum or whatever, bring a case of your own brew. People are gonna ask, what's that? I've never seen that. Oh, I brewed it myself. Actually, recently I won first prize, a local competition with it. So can't be all that bad, I guess. Well, and bam. Social status. Oh, he's doing something. Oh, cool. He started a business. Oh, cool. He sells his stuff. It's even successful. He must have good taste. Great. And already you have social status. So think about it. It's easier to get social status than you might think. So work hard to build it. Make sure you hang out with people who rub off on you. Go to environments. Frequent those environments to naturally build social status. And maybe there's a good way to hint at it, right? So do that as well. By having social status, you're gonna be more attractive, you're gonna be more interesting, you're gonna stand out from the crowd, people are gonna be curious about you, people wanna be close to you, people are gonna wanna know all about why you have that social status, in what area you have it, and so on. It's easy to make friends, it's easy to make business contacts, it's easy to sell someone something. And yeah, it just has lots of upsides for you. So again, try to meet people in places where your social status is high in comparison to theirs, and you're gonna have a lot of great results. I promise.